Well, hi guys. So in my last video, I made mention of I had a project sitting outside that I was afraid was going to spontaneously combust. It was so hot. And I just want to talk about that right now. As resin artists, we are always on a quest to get the best bubble-free resin. And I want to talk about one of the things that we do that I overdid, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. So one of the ways that we get less bubbles in our resin is we take our 2 cups of resin before we mix it together, and we put it in warm water to warm it up before we mix it. And I did that the other day, but I was being very distracted and I didn't pay attention to how warm my water was. And it was actually very hot. And I knew it was hot, but I thought, oh, it'll be fine. I'm in a hurry. Well, here's what happened. I let my resin cups sit in the hot water for a few minutes, and then I mixed them together just like normal, and then I poured them off into these little cups. And I was talking just like I am now, and then I went to add my alcohol inks to the cups. And they weren't moving like they should. Like the green kind of dispersed across the top, but the rest of them, especially the red and the green, I put 4 drops in and they just sat there. And I even commented as I was recording that that's really weird that they just sat there like that and they didn't disperse at all. And then I took a popsicle stick and I went to stir them. And I tried to stir this, and that was all the stirring I could get. That was all the mixing I could get. And I tried to stir this one, and it was already almost completely set up. And I was getting the same thing with the rest of these. Now, they were completely mixed. These are not sticky. They are, it was a very good mix, but they were very hot. Like, I mixed them. They sat here for a few minutes while I added my dye and I did my other stuff and I talked. And they continued to heat up. And I could not mix these. That's as much as I could mix the blue. So these were super hot. I was wearing my nitrile gloves and these were super, super hot. And I thought, this is just dangerous. You know, I don't know all the components of what it takes to spontaneously combust, but this is dangerous and I want to get this outside. And so I was putting these in a container to take them outside. And when I went to pick this one up, it was so hot it burned me. And it actually deformed the cup. The sides of this cup were straight and it was so hot it melted and pulled in the cup. And I took it all outside and I set it in a safe place because this was just dangerously hot. So I took this all outside and I set it in a safe place in case it did catch fire, because this was just ridiculously dangerously hot and plastic will burn. But this was amazingly hot and I thought, okay, this happened for one of 2 reasons. One is that I either heated the resin too much before I mixed it and that caused this chemical reaction. The other one is I hadn't used this resin for a little while and maybe it's too old. Now, I only bought it about 9 months ago, but I bought it from Amazon from an individual seller. It wasn't fulfilled by Amazon. So I have no idea how long that seller had it sitting around. So that is something to be cautious of. Now, I really suspect that it happened because I overheated it. But also, when we buy things like this from individual sellers, this does not have any kind of a date on it. No use by date, no sell by date. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. So I highly recommend that when you get these from individual sellers, you date them with the permanent marker and use them quickly. Don't let these sit around for a year like you normally would think is fine. Most of my resins I try to use within a year of purchasing them, but that's when I purchase them from a store. So anyway, I I'm really pretty sure that this happened from getting my resins too hot in their individual parts and then mixing them together. I think the exothermic reaction happened way too quickly and way too harshly, and that's what created that massive amount of heat. But I mean, the exothermic reaction always creates heat. You've noticed it when you pick up your cup, it's warm. But this was a ridiculous amount of heat. It was a scary amount of heat. I've had a fire in my studio before. It was not fun, not cool at all. So we want to do anything we can to avoid fire. We want to keep a fire extinguisher in our studio or our workspace. So please, please, please be careful of the temperature of the water that you put your resin in to heat it up. This was nothing to mess around with, and it did actually burn me. So that was a stupid mistake on my part, and I'm just telling you this so that you don't make the same stupid mistake, because I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But looking back on it, it was really dumb. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later, and have a great day. Bye-bye for now.